Bash the cunt if you see him. That is the response that somebody gives towards someone posting a picture warning others of a sexual offender. Now, I've never been one for the news and watching it and stuff like that. But it seems to me, and I may be wrong here, but it seems a bit unfair for the news to, show pictures of someone and deeming them as sexual offenders, or, announcing pretty much to, anyone that watches that channel that said person is a sexual offender. Now, there's two sides to this. You can see it as unfair for the simple fact that maybe they were once accused of being a sexual offender, but not actually convicted. Okay, so, sometimes people do get their facts wrong, but on the other hand, said person may have been convicted of being a sexual offender, which in that case, they may have changed their life and no longer is performing said acts. The idea of prison is to rehabilitate. But for some reason, it seems as if a person who has been, black mark with being called a sexual offender will always live that for the rest of their life. Maybe once or, maybe when you were a 12-year-old, you played show. You show me yours, I show you mine. Kids do that. Now, if you haven't heard, there was I believe it was an American boy who, was 12, playing with a 10-year-old, and actually got charged for sexual abuse for showing his to her, and she showed hers to his. It's what little kids do. We all get that, Maybe not as much from where I come from, because I never did any of that stuff, but, kids do that. It's like one of the natural things that we know. And yet some kid's going to be deemed a sexual offender for the rest of his life. And you know what'll happen, it will be something. A friend of ours, she got a letter in the mail basically saying that one of her neighbors is a pedophile. It's a good warning and everything like that. Because it doesn't actually say who it is. It does make you a little bit more suspicious of everyone in the area because you can't really trust them. But at the same time, it is a good warning system. But now they've posted a picture, not necessarily of my mum's friend's neighbor, but of just someone around the area being called a sexual offender. And people's response is, oh, you should just bash him up, If you see him, bash him. The logical thing is run, call police, and if he gets too damn close, you kick him in the nuts. I'm sorry, I know you're not supposed to hit anyone in the dick, but if you're trying to get away from a sexual offender, that's what you do. Oh god, I gotta spit, but I can't be fucked to get nut. So in reality, and the other half of this story is that it is a good warning system. Let everyone know who it is, But personally, I find it's a bit unfair, especially to those who may not have actually, done something as bad. If you haven't seen the movie Horrible Bosses, I would recommend go out. It's a funny movie. But a point of that, the point I bring up from that movie is one of the guys is deemed a sexual offender because he got drunk one night, went out and pissed, and it just happened to next to be a playground. There was no kids around, like he said. But then he got deemed a sexual offender for that. All because he got drunk and pissed in a park. And so it said, in reality, this person would have a black spot next to his name for the rest of his life. And really, does that seem fair? And, everyone would know this, all employees, it was a misunderstanding, it can be. Sometimes these things happen and they are misunderstandings. Or maybe, I'm not going to say this happens often. I don't really know. I haven't searched this up. But maybe the victim is lying. Sometimes it does happen. We know that. So, to be told directly, as everyone would say, oh, not as everyone, but as they would say, is basically that you have a black mark against your name, and everyone can see that now because it's going to be on a permanent record. Does that seem fair? I don't know. Like, I know some people have different opinions because, they'll have children and others don't have children. I don't clearly have children. I'm only not even 18. I'm not amongst those people around the area that do that shit. But it just seems unfair to me for someone to be deemed a sexual offender for the rest of their life for doing silly things, and then everyone claim them to be sexual offenders. Now, granted, this person may be a rapist who's, escaped from prison and is just wants to be on a rape fest. I don't know. All this picture is saying is, this person is a sexual offender. If you see him, call the cops and bash him. Is that really logical? You're telling 12-year-olds, because this is from a 14-year-old or 15-year-old, I don't really know. A friend liked the picture and I just saw it. Okay? So you're telling, 12-year-olds, oh yeah, just go bash him. Yeah, that's logical. Maybe this person is just trying to get along with his life. Maybe he hasn't done anything in the last, say, 10, 20 years. But, it was just something in his past life. Does that really seem fair? So one thing I hate about social media is the fact that this stuff like this can be spread around so easily. And, you know what'll happen in the streets. If he's walking, he's being a good guy. He's gonna get shit thrown at him. Oh, you're sexual offender. When in reality, most people around the area are sexual offenders because they're having, maybe sex with a 12-year-old when they're 18. And I know it does happen. I know a lot of people who do that. Or even being 12, having a 16-year-old having sex with a 14-year-old that's not quite 2 years in the difference. That makes him a sexual offender too. So, that's all I have to say. It's stupid. And my only real rule is, like I said earlier, run, police, nuts. And if you have an opportunity, get a whistle at some times, if something does happen. Have a